affordable, reliable luxury cars in 2026 for less money than a fully spec'd out Toyota Camry. You want to drive in style, you want a vehicle that has the looks, ergonomics, and even in many cases better performance. But now with the average luxury car cresting $50,000, you can in fact find yourself some amazing, reliable, durable luxury cars for barely a song and a dance. I'm going to share a list of 8 of those amazing vehicles you can get today. Let's get into it, shall we? Life's too short to drive boring cars. Let's take this list right from the top with the least reliable working our way to the most reliable of these vehicles. The first pick on our list is the brand new Mercedes GLA. Yeah, it's a small subcompact SUV, has all of the features, all of the technology, dual clutch gearbox, 2-liter turbo engine, well over 200 horsepower, and it looks the part. Who said you need the S-Class when you can get a GLA? These are great little vehicles. I've always said they're fun, frisky, and peppy. But a base GLA stickers for about $41,500 with a base all-wheel drive 4MATIC version starting around $43,500. It's actually less, slightly less, and then a fully loaded Toyota Camry. Of course, you can anticipate some problems with glitches and electronic gremlins, but all in all, the engine's pretty durable and fairly easy to maintain. According to CarEdge, they're alleging that it's about $1,000 or just under $1,000 per year for annual servicing. I could probably advocate for that. For the most part, it's even slightly less than that. But by the time 10 years rolls around, you're almost at the crest of $15,000. Now, at a $15,000 ownership cost, that looks to be about 16% above the industry average for other vehicles in the segment. On top of that, you're actually expecting to see a 44.1% probability of having a major catastrophic failure in that time frame. Now, catastrophic might be a gearbox, might be a module, might be some other PCV, and I've also said that positive crankcase ventilation valve is an issue that you're going to actually almost anticipate. Now, the fortunate reality with some of the rear-wheel drive Mercedes-Benz, a lot of those are covered under an extended warranty. These unfortunately are not. That being said, if you take one under a long-term lease or you take one under a finance plan and you possibly sell it after 3 or 4 years, you're probably going to get yourself a fun car that's extremely great to drive. Depreciation's going to hit it hard. So if you do want to drive one of these, expect some of the unexpected failures. And if Mercedes is just too much risk for you, you're in luck because the Lexus UX 300H is an absolute amazing vehicle. Who wants a Toyota Corolla? It's boring as sin. But here you can get its luxury version of it. Of course, this features a 2-liter inline-4 hybrid drivetrain, features engine output of at least 196 horsepower. Now, that being said, the Lexus UX 300 starts around $36,000 and change and has a reliability score of 80 out of 100. Now, according to CarEdge, you can expect an annual service cost of the Lexus UX to look more like $550 per year or up to about $7,500 estimated after a 10-year time frame. Now, this comes with that glorious 2-liter engine, hybrid drive, but remember the ECVT, and I've always touted the ECVT system has that stronger, torqueier front end, and of course it's less susceptible to failure like you're finding in a lot of the Nissan products by Jatco. The fortunate part, in 2026, there's currently 0 recalls for this vehicle, and as well, you can expect only maybe a 21% chance of a catastrophic failure within that 10-year time frame, meaning that this is one of the most reliable and lowest cost luxury vehicles in the segment, actually bar none. It looks great. It's wonderful. It's a little unrefined, let's be honest, but I love this. I love its simplicity. I love its durability. And with almost 50 miles per gallon, combined, of course, with the electric and motor and engine, you can expect annual fuel costs to be absolutely minimal. Great vehicle, great looking, fun, and affordable. The next luxury vehicle you might want to consider, it's a little more than the Camry, but it certainly is very affordable and it's relatively reliable. We're talking about with an 81 out of 100 score for reliability. We're talking about the Genesis GV70. I love the style, the front end, the rear end, and of course, it looks out of this world. And when it comes to luxury, style means a lot. I mean, you like the way it looks, you like the way it drives, you're going to look back every time you get out to go to the store, you're going to take that second and third glance, then you know you've bought the right car. If you don't bother to take that look, you've probably bought the wrong vehicle. But the reliability is actually reasonable. With a price tag of just under $50,000, it competes right squarely with BMW's X3, as well as Mercedes-Benz GLC, which is the next scale up from the GLA, which we just spoke of. Now, CarEdge expects about a $9,511 10-year cost for running these vehicles, I would expect it to be somewhere between that $500, $600, $700, which is chump change if you're buying a luxury vehicle, let's be honest. And with these 10-year service costs, I would expect it to be around 24% lower than the industry average. And as well, because it's largely based on Hyundai and Kia products, you're getting a lot of the underpinnings, both good and bad. There's about a 26.6% chance of a catastrophic failure in that 10-year time frame, which happens to be 12% lower than the industry average. That's amazing. Fortunately, there's only one recall, and to be honest, stay away from the earlier generations, 22, 23. The later models seem to be less afflicted with issues. There were some problems with batteries, fitment problems, electronics, navigation, but a lot of that's been somewhat sorted, and by and large, these vehicles are fairly reliable. And a new SUV from Infiniti, which is the upscale Nissan, happens to make the radar at 78 out of 100. It's unfortunate they're being more or less discontinued. The Infiniti QX50. Sadly, I have to admit that even though they're affordable at about $43,000, don't let that fool you. You may love these vehicles, and if you're going to lease them, they're great. Maybe you're going to short-term buy one and then flip it after a couple of years. That's fine too. But if you expect to have a long life out of these vehicles, I'd say think again. With the 2-liter turbocharged engine that happens to be the VC Turbo, which is the variable compression engine, made it up to the CVT transmission, you've literally got the worst of the worst by Infiniti and Nissan. So while the price is affordable, if you look at some of the features along the side, they look fairly generic and the vehicle lacks a little distinction. But if you just want to get cheap and dirty and luxury and you don't plan to keep it a long time, it might actually suit the bill. Because according to RepairPal, it's going to cost you about $608 per year of servicing. But according to CarEdge, they're looking at a 10-year run of about $11,486 to keep this bad boy on the road. So far, 0 recalls for the 2025, and you ask, where's the 26s? There really aren't going to be any. Because of all of the issues, the poor sales, and the overall durability, customers are catching on. They're not selling. But if you really need to have one, you love that style, and you've always said you wanted one, you can still get into one for Camry money. And if you're not going to keep it for a long time, hey, no harm, no foul, right? Another vehicle based on Ford, of course, is the Lincoln Corsair. It's an attractive little SUV. You have a couple different drivetrain features. You can either get an EcoBoost 2-liter turbo engine, made it up to an 8-speed auto, or you can get a plug-in hybrid 2.5-liter 4-banger. And naturally, a lot of people love them. They're attractive, the interior styling is there, and for barely over $40,000, they're affordable as well. Now, they are Ford largely, and so you're going to anticipate some of the issues. There's been a lot of complaints with problems with windshield rattling noises inside, infotainment problems. We also know the EcoBoost engine has had some troubles anyhow, with, of course, head gasket issues, oil consumption, as well as, wow, let's be honest, they like to eat turbos, they like to eat coolant, and they like to eat oil. Largely, for the most part, people are finding a reasonable level of durability for these vehicles, and that's why they're better than the vehicles listed previous, other than possibly the Lexus. Now, JD Power gives it about a 78 score out of 100, but the overall reliability rating is around 83 out of 100, so it fares quite well. According to CarEdge, 10 years of this vehicle might cost you about $11,000, and my expected interpretation of that could be somewhere in that $600 or $700 per year. It is a luxury vehicle. It's ultimately a Ford. You could put lipstick on a pig, but it's still a pig. And that's kind of what you're getting here. There have been some risks. The main screen not illuminating properly, the rear seat belts not necessarily working properly, and a potential fire risk for a plug-in block heater. Outside of that, it's been a relatively durable product with minimal recalls. But let's be honest, found on road dead, they are essentially the recall kings. Now, according to RepairPal, they get 3 stars. For me, I get 1.5 thumb. Cheap, dirty, and affordable. The next one made my list personally of one of the few Lexus vehicles I would ever own. And right now, it's the NX version. In this case, the NX 350 wasn't necessarily my ideal. I love the 450h Plus, but that's a plug-in hybrid and it's a lot of money. But you can get into an NX 350 for as little as $44,000, which means you're right at the sticker price tag of a top trim level Toyota Camry. 2.4-liter turbo 4, has all kinds of zing, fits right between the UX, right between the RX. It's an amazing car. Great size, great proportions, great durability. And as well, the cost of ownership is relatively low. RepairPal says it's a 4-star, about $551 per annual service, and according to CarEdge, they're claiming about $7,712 in a 10-year estimated car run time frame. So they're very reliable, they're very durable, minimal recalls, absolutely great vehicles. And the beauty is they also have a torque converter automatic. So you're not dealing with CVT transmissions, but you are in fact dealing with Toyota levels of durability. I love these particular vehicles. I love the size, detailing, the interior fit and finish. I drove one. I'm still this close. house, I've been shopping around and still deciding on whether I want a hybrid, plug-in hybrid, an NA version, a turbocharged 4, whatever an internal combustion vehicle available. There's a variety of different models within the NX space, but at 85 out of 100 of overall reliability rating, it is a vehicle you absolutely would make the biggest mistake walking away from. If you haven't looked at one of these yet and you're looking for a luxury car that is absolutely heads and tails above a Camry, this is your pick. And we're getting much closer to the top of the list, and you got to expect the ratings of these reliabilities just getting better and better. The next one in line is a 2026 Acura RDX. I love these vehicles. I think the size is absolutely amazing. Close competitor to what I just spoke of, the NX from over in Lexus land. The RDX by Acura is one of those vehicles that you really have to give a look at. 10-speed automatic, 2-liter turbocharged engine with 272 horsepower and maybe 280 pound-feet of torque or thereabouts. The only real complaints people are having, squeaks and rattles, and sometimes the odd electronic gremlin. There have been cases where it appears that some of the features, the sensors don't necessarily communicate effectively to the main brain, and there have been some glitches from time to time. But overall, it's a very reliable vehicle at 85 out of 100. How can you go wrong? Repair Pal says that you're only going to expect to pay about $497 on average per year. Car Edge is claiming to be much higher, about $10,295 in a 10-year time frame, with only maybe 1 in 3 vehicles sustaining some kind of significant failure. They're very reliable. There have been some complaints with turbos and oil burning. You're expecting more problems with the odd electrical gremlin. They're very reliable. They're extremely affordable to own and operate. And with a sticker price of barely over $45,000, it's right smack dab there with the Lexus and the top trim Toyota Camry. How can you go wrong with a vehicle like that? Looks this great, is this reliable, fun to drive, and somewhat stylish. And the next one on my list, the drum roll please. If you're looking for something that's European, a little more stylish and with some sport smacked on top of it, for a little under $1,000 according to Repair Pal, or $12,641 according to Car Edge, it only has 1 recall. It's only got an expected 37.4% anticipated failure rate in the first 10 years, which is actually better than the average for luxury vehicles. It's rugged, it's fun, it has an overall reliability rating of 86 out of 100. We're talking about the Audi Q3 with 250 horsepower, 2-liter turbo 4, as well as made it up to a 7-speed automatic transmission and quattro all-wheel drive system. It seems like a heavy hitter in a world of very value-oriented luxury vehicles. If you're looking for something fun, sporty, reliable, and something a little more unique, that might be your bet. Maybe a short-term lease. Maybe it's sell it after 3 or 4 years. Depreciation's going to hurt, but your driving experience is going to be top shelf. And with all of that said, everybody, check out right there some of my favorite picks. That's right. You'd never believe it. There it is. As well as there another great video. You're going to love those picks as well. You can't go wrong. Hope to see each and every one of you real soon. See you then, everybody. Bye-bye.